What is going on, everybody? I am back today because I was able to grab advanced screening tickets for the new release film, The Blackening. And I actually saw the trailer for this a few times when I was going to the theater to watch some movies, and I was really excited to see it. I was very excited to see a horror film with an all black cast. It looked relatively comical from the trailer, and I was excited to see what kind of direction it was going to take, how it would balance the horror and the comedy, if this was going to go a Scream route, that it was trying to be really subversive about a lot of the horror tropes that have existed in the past. And I'll get into it more when I get into the review. The Blackening is directed by Tim Story. A group of black friends reunite for a Juneteenth weekend getaway, only to find themselves trapped in a remote cabin with a twisted killer. As I said, super excited to watch this movie when I saw the trailer, was really looking forward to it. There was like a tagline on the trailer, like the most exciting and best horror film since Get Out, which obviously Jordan Peele sets a very high standard for what horror can be and how incredible and talented of a director as he is. I didn't feel like it would ever live up to that, but I was excited to see this nonetheless. And unfortunately, this is one of the worst movies I've seen this year. I really did not like this movie at all. I think it falls short in everything that it is trying to be, and I'll get a little bit more into it now. So obviously, as the plot description states, you have this group of friends who come together to have a Juneteenth celebration. They haven't seen each other since college. They're a pretty close-knit group of friends. There's some people on the outskirts of that friend group that aren't as close. There's one guy who shows up that is clearly like barely interacted with the rest of the group. And they all come together at the beginning of the film and they start talking about things that have gone on in their personal lives, trying to build up the characters a little bit. And they go into this room that is called Game Room, and they stumble upon this game called The Blackening, which has some really racist imagery on it. They're told to play this game, and it becomes kind of like a mixture of like Saw-esque trap room with like a whodunit type of murder mystery, elements of like trying to go for Scream in there, and it tries to be an amalgamation of all different things, but unfortunately it does not work on any of those fronts. Out of the gate, there's virtually no horror in this film whatsoever. There's a couple of moments where like a masked figure will jump out on screen, but there is no tension or any sort of suspense to kind of bring that horror to the forefront. Because I talk about horror a lot on my channel, and the thing about horror is it's all about atmosphere. They're supposed to be in this cabin in the woods. They do the whole stumble across this gas station with a scary, racist-looking white guy that they're immediately all frightened by right out of the gate. This has existed in horror films in the past with like the creepy people out on the outskirts of the cabin. And I can get behind that if it's approached in a way that feels kind of subversive or like it's aiming at those tropes, but it's just in those moments playing into those tropes that already exist in horror, and it doesn't do it in a way that's really interesting or new or unique. And then when they get out to this place, it's a really nice looking Airbnb, and you never really get that sense of isolation or buildup of tension that would really kind of keep you on the edge of your seat with these characters, which immediately kind of eliminates the horror part, right? And even like the violence in this, it's so campy, but not even in a fun way. The CGI in this is really, really bad. And then on top of that, you get into the humor side of things. The humor in this film is very specific. There are a lot of jokes that if you're not in the know as to what the specifics of the joke entail, you're not going to understand a lot of the humor in this. And obviously, you know, especially when it comes to black culture, there's a lot of specific referential things. There's a lot of parts of culture that are important to people, and that humor can come from that. And putting jokes like that in a film is totally 100% cool, but this movie is filled with that humor to where if you are not a member of the black community, it can feel very confusing as to what a lot of the jokes are. There's one joke in particular in the movie that like references a very specific film, and they're quoting very specific lines from the film, and it just went right over my head. But aside from that, even the things that should come across as very like accessible humor for everyone else that's watching the movie that might not be in the know on those types of jokes, it's so like heavy-handed in a way that really isn't comical. It just feels so forced and unnatural. None of the character relationships also feel natural. They're all very hokey and over the top. It's just I didn't really enjoy any of the performances in this movie either. I don't think any of the actors are bad by any means. I think there's a lot of really talented actors in the mix, but like the dialogue is just so quick in a way that like none of the humor gets time to land. There's even moments where there's like chase sequences where there's supposed to be like comic lines of dialogue that are delivered, but the mixing of the audio is so bad you can't even really hear the punchline for it to really resonate. The movie is very dark as well, and I already had a problem where the theater we were in, the bulb was incredibly dim, and so that made it even more difficult to catch any of like the specific parts of like the frame where it was really, really dark. And so that made it hard to focus on a lot of scenes as well, because like our cast of characters are in these spaces where it was hard to see where like the villain was hiding and all that. And yeah, it just really is kind of a tonal mess. And then towards the end, it tries to pack this social punch. And I don't want to get into the spoilers because if you want to go see this movie, but to me it was very convoluted because of what the villain's motivations were combating what the message of the film is. It seemed to kind of contradict itself to where I just kind of left being like, okay, what was the director's intent? What exactly are they trying to say to the audience member? And it's interesting, but not in a way that's like good interesting. It's just kind of baffling to me as to what they were trying to go for. The movie just kind of ends in a way that's really unsatisfying. And yeah, for some people this might just be like a turn your brain off and laugh type of movie, but like for me, especially when the social commentary stuff is added in, and not everything has to be heavy-handed when it comes to social commentary. You can do it in a very nuanced way. I mean, if you look at Jordan Peele's Get Out and what that did for horror as a whole and for black horror, it's just really one of the most impressive films ever made. And there's a lot of nuance in that film. There's a lot of really great comedy in that film, like really uncomfortable moments. And this just didn't have anything to keep you engaged. It was just really hokey comedy that didn't even come across in like a Wayans scary movie way, which I love the Wayans scary movie films. They're stupid and they're over the top, but they know exactly what they want to be and they execute exactly what they want to be in a way that really works. This movie has no idea what it wants to be. Even the comedic moments, there's so many moments in this that just drag on, that are so bland, that just kind of pad an hour and a half runtime where I feel like, okay, this could be trimmed, this could be trimmed. And what's unfortunate is it's a really cool concept and it has some really talented actors in it. They just really deserve to be put in better hands, unfortunately, because Tim Story did not do a solid enough job with this material to make it anything effective or lasting in a way that I'll remember it past tomorrow. So have you seen The Blackening? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. Unfortunately, I really did not like this movie. I saw the potential in the cast, I saw the potential in the material, but unfortunately it was lackluster in virtually every way. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.